Now, all the brochures were nicely laid out. It's just some people went and steal some brochures from Google, which I knew of, so they were disqualified. And those who came first, second, and third, they did a good job in their brochure itself, the information that they had in the brochure, as well as their presentation was well done. And they submitted their brochure in a very timely fashion. So you all ready for the results? Here it is. First place would have been Emily and Tristan. They did the herpes. Second place is Raphael and Kadisha. And third place is Sophia. Oh gosh, I have a spelling here. Saravana and Daniela. All right. So that's first, second, and third. And the prizes now, hold on. Elena did a really nice job in selecting the prizes. You're welcome. I know you all want to see it. This is like the part that I can't physically give you all right now. All now what I would have presented it to you all, and I would shake your hand and I'll give you a hug. All right, so the prize is, okay, so the first place would have gotten a Starbucks card. So Emily and Tristan, you all will collect this. Two of you all have a card each. All right. Second place, you get into so that's Kadisha and Raphael. You're getting this nice little mug. I don't know, you all can decide which one you want. And have a nice straw on it. So you can work with your smoothie or water. You can have a cereal, all kind of things you could carry in this little jug. I think that's called mason jars, yeah. This is really in style right now. Very popular, easy to clean. And then the third place winners would have gotten a stationery pack. So that's Sophia, Saravana, and Daniela. So it's really nice, you know, a clear, nice package. You could put whatever stationery you want. I know Saravana have a whole ton of stationery already, so the little kit will be filled. All right, so those were the winners. You all like the prizes? Let me hear what are they saying. Yes, all right, very good. And nice. And you all were very hard at it, so you all deserve it. So today's homework, we're going to correct this multiple choice paper first. Sorry, this multiple choice paper. I'm going to bring it up on my screen. And we will be doing some revision of topics. By the way, you all only have about 2 more classes remaining, huh? So we want to get as much past papers in. And I'm sure you all would have heard that there's going to be an extra month of study sessions, but with a different timetable. So HSB is on a Friday instead. And that is a separate thing where we are going to just do strictly past papers, and within the past papers itself, I will be teaching the syllabus. And it's a class that is open to the public as well. So you all should sign up for that as well. What was I going to get? Oh, past papers. Paper 1, the homework. How was this multiple choice paper?
Easy.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so here's the solutions. So how am I going to do this? Yeah, these are GCE, so it will be a little confusing, but I I think it's a good idea to do GC because just in case they want to bring some, little hard questions, seeing how exams change up a little bit. Well, not for you all, but for other subjects. Now, with all the CSEC paper 1 that we have is a lot of repeats. So it will actually be a good thing to go through like new kind of questions which GCE offers. You all see any question? Anyway, I could actually shrink this one. Okay, so number 1, the diagram shows 4 types of organisms. The answer would have been, okay, so what causes athlete's foot? Athlete's foot is basically like a fungal infection from sweating of the feet, not washing properly, ingrown toenails. A lot of bacteria can get within the nail bed of the feet. So what causes it is a bacteria called, here a bacteria, fungus called mycelium. You don't have to know the name of the fungus, but this would have been the answer. Obviously not a mosquito, nor red blood cell, nor a part of our cells. So the answer there was D. And feel free to tell me which one you want me to explain over. Number 2, which process makes and which process removes a product of metabolism? Metabolism is cell reactions that occur. So obviously the answer here too is D, because respiration is a chemical reaction. It's glucose plus oxygen will give you carbon dioxide, water, and energy, which takes place in the mitochondria. So yes, this is the pathway makes in making energy, which the body needs, and removes, meaning for excretion, you're removing urea, which is a metabolic waste product, which the body does produce. Is number 2 clear for you all, or do you all need me to explain that over? So there are metabolic reactions that they're making something where the body needs, and there are metabolic reactions where you're actually producing a waste that is toxic to the body and need to get rid of it. So excretion was one of them. Defecation obviously is not a metabolic waste. Oh, it's not this paper? Oh Lord, let me see. Which year it is? 2005? Oh, and nobody say anything else? I going along with 2006 all this time. Let me check the WhatsApp again. I mix it up with the evening class, because the evening class has give different things, huh? It's not completely the same. Oh, it's 2005 paper. Let me check the year. Oh, it was this one. Sorry about that. So let's go back. Okay, when fuel burns in the engine of a car, energy is released. Which process that occurs in living organisms is most similar to this? So you're burning something to produce energy. That would be D, respiration.
Yes, that was not it.
Okay.
The first question is I'm working in the process of digestion.
The process. This is the paper you did, right? Just making sure.
On the cover of it says nutrition too.
Nutrition. This is not the paper. Could someone forward me the paper I sent you all on the WhatsApp? Because like I have 1,000,001 past papers. This is May, June 2005. What I sent earlier. Let me see. Okay, thanks, Sophia. Let me see. This one is October and November. Oh, okay. I now realize. All right, let me try that over again, yes. So it's October. Okay. It have 2005. Okay, I now realize. This is it. Something we died right. Yep. Is the paper you all did? So for GC, they have exams in October and they have exams in May. So wrong month. Number 1. Anyone would like to read this one? Sanjay?
Which process produces all the waste products excreted by the body?
The answer is C, metabolism. Number 2. How does a virus differ from a bacterium? Tell me, class. A virus can be spread by a droplet. Infection, bacteria too. A virus contains nucleic acid, bacteria too. Virus have no nucleus. Same thing with bacteria. So the answer is virus reproduces only in living organisms. Very good. Same thing what they say on the coronavirus. If it's on the surface or on the floor or outside of the body, it will last about 7 days. But if it's inside the body, well, that is how it's going to multiply and reproduce. 3. A blood sample is taken from a person with a fever. The sample contains unicellular animals that reproduce by fission. What are these animals? So this one's a mosquito, Anopheles. Plasmodium is a unicellular organism. So we're looking for a unicellular organism here. So the answer, now this is a fancy word of saying snails, and this is our next fancy word as well for another multicellular organism. And Plasmodium does cause malaria. And malaria is actually cause a lot of fever. So the answer there is B. C is something called a blood fluke. It's a type of worm, so that is multicellular. Tinea, let me check. Tinea is some insect again. Tinea is a fungus. However, that one don't cause fever. So the answer there would have been B, Plasmodium. This one is cause malaria. The diagram shows a plant cell after it has been placed in a concentrated sugar solution for 20 minutes. So this is a plant cell first to begin with because it has a cell wall. Which process has made the cell membrane separate from the cell wall? So how come this, and I was explaining this last class. Why it is the cell membrane, which is here, pulling away from the cell wall? What is the process occurring? The answer is C, osmosis. Yeah. 5. What is made during photosynthesis? B, oxygen and sugar. Sugar is glucose. The diagram shows a nitrogen cycle. Which change is brought about by a bacteria? So this is where you have to think about. You follow the arrows. So nitrogen in the air being converted to amino acid and protein in plants This would have been done by nitrogen fixing bacteria. So B is the answer here straight off the bat. Nitrate amino acid, this is absorption here. C would have been amino acids feeding. D would have been excretion. So the answer here would have been B. That's for 6. 7. The results of 3 food tests on a cereal are shown in a table. Which nutrients are present in the cereal? So cereals have a lot of sugar, definitely. Cereal wouldn't have starch. Starch is come from plants. So it will have sugar and protein. B. All right. The bar chart shows the percentage of fat, protein, and starch and sugar in 4 foods. Which food would be best for the formulation of cell membrane? Now, cell membranes tend to have a lot of fats and protein. So that is what you're looking for. Something with plenty of fat and protein. So that answer is B, fat and protein. 9. Which vitamin and mineral are necessary for bone formation? What's the answer for 9? C, calcium and vitamin D. Yeah. Thanks, Regan. Which nutrient should a pregnant woman increase in her diet for the purpose indicated? So she should definitely have sugar, don't do build muscles. Iron to make hemoglobin. That's a good one. Fat, don't, okay, no. So the best answer is C, yeah. You're all right. The diagram shows an experiment to demonstrate the presence of bacteria on teeth. So they take a little sample from the tooth. They put the sample in an agar plate. Then they leave the sample to incubate, and then they see a whole set of bacteria multiply and grow on it. And they have a plate with nothing in it. What's the reason for the results shown on plate 4? Now this, a control is not, nothing is done in this. This is a plate that is sterilized because they want to show if you put a sample from the mouth in a plate, if bacteria will grow, and the answer is yes. Whereas if you don't put anything, no bacterial growth will be shown. So this is just to compare results. So for this one, it would have been B. 12, the diagram shows part of the digestive system, in which part is bile made. So we're looking for the gallbladder here. And what structure is the gallbladder? The liver. Look at how easy it is to fall for that. Which part bile is made? Not where bile is stored. So bile is stored where? We're looking for the liver now. Which structure is the liver? A is the answer. 13. Which graph shows how temperature affects the rate of the digestion of starch by the enzyme amylase? Now this is a little graph showing temperature and the rate of an enzyme. So basically enzymes work under optimum temperatures. So as temperature increases, the rate of reaction increases until it reaches the optimum level, which is this figure, this line here. And then beyond that temperature, the rate of reaction will slow down. So the answer here would have been B. That's how all the temperature and rate of reaction graphs look for the enzymes. All right, number 14. Which statement about veins is correct? So veins carry, not all of them have deoxygenated blood. However, all of them have valves to prevent the backflow. Which vein do not carry deoxygenated blood, but instead carries oxygenated blood? What is the exception? In other words, what is the only vein that does carry oxygenated blood? Ooh, everybody get quiet. Pulmonary vein, that's right, Emily. The diagram shows a vertical section of the heart. Which label part will be damaged first by a heart attack? So heart attack could be bursting of a blood vessel. So you're looking for an area that is have blood coming in at a very fast rate and high pressure. So you're looking for the arteries, like the area that is transfer oxygenated blood. So you have pulmonary vein coming in, left atrium, left ventricle, and then it have this ventricle have to pump the blood. Look at the wall of the ventricle, it's very thick. Because when this muscle contract, it is forcing blood up into the aorta, which is A. And at this point, if the person has plaque on this wall, due to unhealthy diet, this could cause the vessel to burst. So A, 15 is A. 16, what is the function of lymph? Lymph fluid is 2.
B.
Carry food and oxygen to the tissues. Blood is do this one, not lymph.
No, B.
B, yes. If you all say any answers, here's a trick. Say A for apple, B for bat, C for cat, D for dog. So it's easier to understand. 16 is bat. 17, the diagram shows the apparatus that can be used to demonstrate some of the movements during breathing. So this is a little setup of a lung, a homemade setup. You have some balloons, a tube, a glass jar, well, a bell jar, and they're telling you what every structure stands for. So if the handle here is pulled down, moving the rubber sheet, which is the diaphragm, in the direction of the arrow, so this is going down. What happens to the air pressure in W, volume at X, direction of airflow? So if this flattens, that means it created more space for the thorax. So the balloon will be filled with air, and anytime volume of air increase, pressure does decrease. So volume of X will increase, that's for sure. Air will be passing in, so I don't get 2 here. And anytime volume increase, pressure does decrease. So the answer is C. Cat. 18. Which route does oxygen take as it diffuses from the air in the lungs to hemoglobin in the blood? So around the alveolus have a layer of moisture, and that layer of moisture is mucus. It allows gases to exchange easily. So first it will pass through, so look at it, diffuses from the air into the lung to hemoglobin in the blood. So it comes in from the alveolus and then it goes into the blood. But before the alveolus, it have a lining of liquid, a fluid. So mucus, the alveolus, to what all I have? red cell membrane to plasma. Why will oxygen end up in the plasma? The answer is not B. Oxygen have to be, now when I say red cell membrane, they're referring to the red blood cell here. I don't know if I'll pick up on that. So it's A, mucus, wall of alveolus, passing through the plasma, diffusing into the red blood cell, which will contain hemoglobin. A is the answer. Some of you always guess what, you'll have to think very carefully for these questions. 19. In which cell part is energy transferred during respiration? So respiration occurs, now the key word here, they say transferred, not produced. So it is produced in the mitochondria, and then energy will be taken to the cytoplasm. A. Transferred is transferred to the cytoplasm but made in the mitochondria. 19 is apple. 20. What describes the actions of a hinge joint and a ball and socket joint? So this is straight from the notes. Hinge joint is moving one plane or one direction. Ball and socket is moving all planes. So the answer there is bat. 21. The diagram shows bones and muscles of the arm. It's a nice diagram. What is the correct sequence, set of events when movement occurs at the elbow joint? So the hand going and move upwards, so the bicep will contract. So we look at bicep contract. Anytime the bicep does contract, the tricep does relax. And this does allow the hand to go up. So this hand is going to elevate. Come like when you're picking up something. So the answer here is C. Raise, contract, right. Scat. 22. We got so far? Any questions or with any question with anything that I have to explain? All right. 22. What is the usual effect on the volume and concentration of urine produced when a person suffers from diarrhea? All right. So normally when you have diarrhea, you actually don't urinate as much, because remember, all your fluids and all your body waste is going to be expelled through feces, and that feces tends to be, I hate to describe it, but a liquid. So the answer there is volume will decrease, concentration will increase. Yes, B is the answer. You will urinate, but you will urinate a small amount. What a topic to talk about. 23 now. The graph shows the changes in blood sugar concentration during periods of rest and light exercise. So the person resting at this side, doing a little exercise. Now notice the sugar concentration. This is glucose. During rest, it's high because the body not using as much energy. When they start to do a little exercise now, look at how the sugar starts to get low because the muscle cells using it up. What causes the change in blood sugar level between X and Y? The answer here is, so when you're exercising, you need glucose to be broken down. So glycogen will cause that release, will cause glucose, glycogen will break down, sorry, let me read this over. Right, so Glucagon. Why did I say glycogen? Glucagon is being released by the liver so that it can break down glycogen to glucose. Yeah, that's it. The answer here is apple, because the body needs energy during exercise. 24. A student places one left hand finger in a beaker X and one right hand finger in beaker Y. After 20 seconds, both these fingers are placed in beaker Z at the same time, as shown in the diagram. All right, so this one is 50, this one is 10 degrees, this one is 30 degrees. What would a student feel in each of these fingers? So you move from X to Z. So this is from hot to cold. All right, so we're looking at cold. Y to Z. So this is cold to warm. All right, so the answer is C. Cut here. 25. The diagram shows part of a very small structure in the nervous system. By the way, this is what you call a synapse, the gap between the nerve cells. What are the parts X and Y? So X, this is a repeat from midterm exams. X would have been the sensory neuron, and Y is the gap, which is the synapse. D, dog. The diagram shows some possible routes for nerve impulses. This is the spinal cord structure. What is the direction taken by an impulse during a spinal reflex action? Now stay tuned for nervous system recap, because I strongly believe this is a topic you all don't understand. All right, so the direction first off is the receptor. So you're going from R, which is the sensory, to T, which is the relay, to S, which is the motor. RTSD, very good. There's a repeat here. The table shows a 28-day menstrual cycle. On which day is ovulation likely to occur? Day 14, which is B. 28. The diagram shows sex cells not drawn to scale with a sex chromosome marked as X and Y in each cell. Which sex cell could not be produced? Okay, so we have a sperm cell, two sperm cells. We have an egg cell, and then we have an egg cell with a Y chromosome. How not possible? So the sex cell which could not be produced, it's C, because this is an egg cell. Why would it have a Y chromosome in it? $29. What is caused by a diet low in vitamin D? Vitamin D is what? You get it from sunlight. So a deficiency of vitamin D causes, what's the answer? Now the vitamins and stuff is things you have to learn. It's very easy to forget these information. Like what's going on with me right now for vitamin D. Wounds heal more slowly, children develop sickle cell, anemia, no. Not C, calcium ions are not absorbed from the gut. Blood clots, more slowly. Yeah, the answer there would have been A, blood clots more slowly. 30, what spreads ringworm? Ringworm is from a fungus, so let's see. Not from a mosquito, not from housefly. Sharing a towel with an infected person. D. The table shows the occurrence of different diseases among children in 4 schools. In which school was BCG vaccination successful? Now, BCG is a old-time vaccine which is used for tuberculosis. One of the brochures that I think it was Sophia's group, I think they mentioned this. So let's see. Well, obviously we're looking for in which school was BCG. Oh, see. So this answer here is number of cases of diseases recorded in children. 4 people get cholera. Say looking for 1 with 0 for tuberculosis. So the answer is B. 31, B for bat. 32, why does HIV increases the chance of infection by other diseases? Because lymphocytes are destroyed. The HIV viruses target your white blood cells, your T cells, and destroy it. 33, why does the body smell if it is not washed after sweating? Bacterial activity, bacteria like sweat. 34, 2 sterile agar plates were prepared and disinfectant was added to one of the plates. The plates were exposed to the air for an hour and then covered and incubated for 48 hours at 37 degrees Celsius, which diagram shows the result of this experiment. All right, so we have a keyword colonies. So disinfectant is added will kill the bacteria. Nothing added, well then the bacteria will just continue multiplying. So the answer is B, bat. Thirty-five, which diagram shows the type of organism that is killed by an antibiotic? Antibiotics is kill bacteria. So the answer we're looking for is a bacteria. So they don't say non-cellular, that out. Cell wall, we're coming back to you. This is a fungus, so this one out. This is an insect, so this one out. So bacteria have a cell wall. So we could assume this is the bacteria they're talking about, B, for bat. 36. What is an advantage of passive immunity? Passive is from another source. It gives immediate protection because again it's direct. Right, so the answer is A. Which disease is not normally associated with poor sewage disposal? And I put not in bold. C, this one is tuberculosis is a respiratory disease caused by bacteria. And this one does not link to the sewage. However, these cholera, this big word here, typhoid, they are all linked to poor sewage disposal. 38. Which process occurs in both large-scale sewage disposal and large-scale treatment of water for drinking? Well, you're definitely using disinfectants in both of them. So this is a good answer so far. Effluent removes microorganism act as decomposers. Filters are used to remove microorganism. Okay, so sewage, don't use disinfectant because they need microorganisms to break it down, but treatment of water is use disinfectant. All right, so the best answer that I'm seeing here would be, they say which one is occur for, which process occurs in both of them, right? Can't be A because it do use disinfectant in sewage. Yeah, Emily, I'm actually leaning towards D or B. Effluent removes microorganisms. How could effluent remove it? So yeah, the best answer is D. Filters are used to remove, but then again, you have to have a real tiny filter to remove microorganisms. That is very unlikely. Let me just go back to something. I'm just going to go back to the setup. So this would have been the water treatment. Their filtration last. And then the sewage now. The sewage treatment had a effluent, but not a filter. All right, well, the best answer there would have been D for dog. 39. Why is refuse pressed down and compacted at communal sites? To prevent rats burrowing into the refuse. It limits the space. Last one, 40. The graph shows the amount of lead in the air in 4 countries. Which country introduced unleaded petrol for cars in 1980? So you're looking at the shape of the graph here. Concentration of lead in the air. So you're looking for one that decreased. So this one was high in the earlies, and then by 1980, which is right at this point here, that is when they introduced unleaded petrol. So then it decreased. So yeah, you're right. The answer is D. Very good. So these are the answers for your paper. I will send the one that I was busy correcting as homework. Bear in mind, we have 2 more classes remaining. So I'm going to send 2 in fact. All right. So check your WhatsApp this afternoon. I will send it. All right, let's do our revision topic. I'm going to do food chains and food web and respiration today, as well as maybe a topic of the classes choice. Any questions with that multiple choice paper before we move on? I know GC papers tend to be harder than the CSEC, but it's still good practice. All right, great. This was something we did in term 1. Food chains and food web. So we have the food chain, which consists of these consumers and producers, basically. Producers are the plants. Primary consumers is what feed on the producer, which is always herbivores, plant eaters. Secondary consumer and tertiary tend to be the carnivores, which feed on meat, or could be omnivore, which feed both on plants as well as meat. Tertiary consumers tend to be a predator because they have to hunt and attack their prey. This is examples of food chains. It is drawn in a straight line, mind you, and the arrowhead points the consumer. So rat feeding on corn, owl feeding on rat. This one have 3 links or 3 trophic levels. Second one have 1, 2, 3, 4 trophic levels. Lion is the top predator, fox is a carnivore, rabbit is the herbivore, carrot is the producer. Very simple. What does a food chain show us? The feeding relationship in the environment. So this showing who eating who, and who's the herbivore, who's the carnivore, who's the omnivore, who's the producer. And it also shows the energy transfer in the environment. Food webs is basically an interlink of many food chains joined together, and it can have more than one producer. Let me show a picture. So food webs tend to have a lot of food chains. Can you all distinguish about, give me 2 food chains from this food web? I want you all to identify at least 2. No, you can get more than 2, but just give me 2 for now.
Python, rats,
Also louder, please.
the eagle, then the python, then the rat.
All right, first to begin, you need to always start with a plant. That's how our food chain begins. So lavender, butterfly, frog, snake, right, that's one. Lavender, butterfly, frog. Okay, great. And sometimes they can even go further and say give a food chain with 4 trophic levels. Okay, mangoes, fruit fly, trust, wolf, python. Yes. So this example have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they ask for 4, well, they stop at wolf. What is a producer? So a producer is basically a plant which is able to photosynthesize and make their own food. They start off the food chain and they are the ones who just get energy from sunlight. So the primary source of energy is from the sun, and they just take that light energy and make food with it, and then that is provide food for the consumers. So here, this is what I'm saying. Energy comes from the sun, plant make the food, process called photosynthesis, and then they store that food. Consumers are the next link in a food chain, and there are 3 levels of consumers. You have primary, secondary, tertiary, sometimes quaternary. But normally it stops at 4 trophic levels or 5. Primary consumers tend to be worms, insects, squirrels, mice, or in other words, herbivores. Secondary consumers tend to be carnivores or even omnivores. Tertiary tends to be carnivores and they are predators. Well, omnivores is feed on both plants and animals. So they could either be primary or secondary. Scavengers now is feed on the remains of dead organisms. Scavengers are bigger animals, so don't think of them as decomposers. Scavengers tend to be like vultures, hyenas, kobo. Decomposers is the unicellular one, so they are the microbes. So they also feed on dead organisms, dead decaying organisms, and examples are bacteria, mold, fungi, mushroom. Now, decomposers is break down nutrients from the dead organisms and return it to the soil. So we need decomposers. Producers is then using nutrients which is from the soil and make food using those elements. So that would have been like nitrate, magnesium, carbon. Those are elements that is found in the soil. Decomposers is complete the system returning essential molecules to the producers. So even though plant and animals die, decomposers is still return those whatever is left in the body into the soil. Right, so that is a recap with food chain and food web. The other part to this topic would have been the ecological pyramid. You have 3 ecological pyramids. The pyramids basically show the same feeding relationship. So the first one, you have pyramid of number. The second one is pyramid of biomass. And the third one is pyramid of energy. So the one with the numbers is show how much organisms present at each trophic level. Now it's impossible to count every single one, so it is via approximate value. And the shape of this pyramid is varied because it depends on the habitat the organism is found on. So for example, if it's one tree and you're counting how much caterpillars on the leaves, the base will be smaller than the top. Pyramid of biomass measures the dry mass of the organism that you are weighing. So you're removing all the water from the plants, removing all the water from the animals, and you're weighing it. Now they don't really use biomass because it involves drying out the animals and plants. So therefore you actually have to kill it. So it's not the preferred choice to measure these things, the dry mass that is. Last one, pyramid of energy, shows the amount of energy contained in the organism. And energy is measured in joules. So these are the differences in the pyramid, and I'll give you all a diagram of each of them, which is from the notes. So I'll just go back to the note. Right, so here was one for pyramid of numbers. This one was the dry the dry weight or the biomass. Now this one is always be like a triangular shape. The base is broader than the top. The one with the numbers, this vary. It could either be flipped depending on the producer. And then the energy one is also shaped like a triangle because energy always decreases as you go up a pyramid. Because at each trophic level, energy is lost or energy is used up. So let me insert some pictures. Okay, so this one is pyramid. I'm going to send you all these as well to add to your notes. So no need to panic and start to copy down anything. Pyramid of numbers. Next one. Pyramid. Biomass. Biomass is dry weight. So all of them will have this fixed shape. And then last one, pyramid of energy. I rarely see you bring questions with this, but who knows? It could come from multiple choice. Maybe your year might get it, we don't know. I actually want a nicer picture of the energy one. I don't like that picture. So for energy, we could use this one here is good because it's showing what percent of energy is transferred. And the rule is 10% of energy is being transferred to each trophic level. The rest of energy is used up or lost as heat. Producers tend to have the most energy. All right, so this is a nice diagram here. Right, so any questions with this topic? Food chain, food web, and ecological pyramid? A pyramid is just another diagram to show the feeding relationship and show other information relating to the food chain. Right, so one of the other things for homework was another past paper. So I'm going to open that document and start working on those. It was 2016. So take out your booklet. Did I say which month? Right, so it was Jan 2016 paper 2. This question, this past paper here we're going to work on. Right, so let's go for a short break, and when we return, we're going to correct this paper. Ask the questions now. January, okay. We'll take a 15 minutes break, right? Let's resume to the past paper. We're going to answer January 2016 paper 2. So get your past paper out, your answers out, and let's correct this one. You all hearing and seeing the screen? Which question we reach, Sophia? We reach question 3. All right. Let me scroll down. 3, part C. I'm listening to what you say. All right. 3, part C. All right. A virus destroys von Rich's pituitary gland and his urine cannot become concentrated. Identify the hormone produced by the pituitary gland that is most likely no longer being secreted and suggest 2 effects that would have on von Rich's body. So that hormone is called ADH, antidiuretic hormone. The effects of ADH is ADH allows the loop of Henle to reabsorb more water. And when you're doing that, as a result, the volume of water in the urine decreases. That's the effects of that is what ADH does. ADH is trying to save the amount of water in the body by reabsorbing it, so less water is lost in the urine. Or they say 2 effects that this will have on von Rich. So as a result, volume of water in urine decreases. And another effect is the water content in the body will increase as a result. That's the answer. 2, identify 2 other hormones which are not produced if von Rich's pituitary gland is no longer functional, and describe the function of each of these hormones. So let me just go back to endocrine system. Endocrine system was done endocrine, right? So let us go through the glands and the hormones. So pituitary gland secretes many hormones, some of which affect other glands. So here are the names of the hormones that are being secreted: FSH or LH, ADH, growth hormone, oxytocin, prolactin. Now, the key to this question is von Rich. Von Rich is a male, so definitely it won't be FSH and LH. So 2 other hormones which is not produced: growth hormone. And what is the function of growth hormone? Allows growth and development of the body. You all have anything else? What's another hormone? Let's see. Pituitary gland. Now I don't want to put FSH or LH. Neither these 2. But it didn't say von Rich is a boy or girl. So we just have to put what we learn, which hormones are present in the pituitary gland. So let's put FSH, which stands for follicle stimulating hormone. Function of this hormone is to develop a primary follicle in the ovary. All right, next question. Outline 2 ways in which von Rich's endocrine system differ from his nervous system. So this was a nice table from the notes showing the differences. So here we have nervous system and endocrine. So you could put any 2 because they ask for how much? 2 ways. So you could say, you could actually put this answer in a table form where you can say that the speed of action in the nervous system is fast compared to the endocrine, which can be slower. And the nature of the message, nervous system does send electrical impulses, whereas endocrine system does send chemical messages in the form of a hormone. So there's a difference there. I will actually just copy and paste that. No, I can't do that. All right, so 2 ways are speed of message is transmitted quickly in the nervous system, whereas it's sent slowly in the endocrine system because it's not needed in a fast manner. Another way is the messages sent by the nervous system is in the form of an electrical impulse, but in the endocrine system, it's a chemical messenger, which is the hormone. So that's the difference between the 2. Take it down if you don't have it. And share your answers with me. So far, everybody quiet. I need any answers. What answers you all have? Taking the rule in the meantime. All right. Next question. Let me hear from someone. Question 4. Figure 4 shows a diagram of a section through Shaker's eye. State the function of the parts labeled A, B, and C. So anyone can answer this one. A, pupil controls the amount of light that gets into the eye. A is the, let me zoom in. Why A is the pupil? I would say A is the lens because it's touching the lens. It's close to the lens. But we can actually allow pupil because pupil is this little opening here as well. All right, so A, I'll put lens or pupil. The function of the lens is to bend or refract light to land on the retina. The function of the pupil is to control the amount of light entering the eye.
Miss,
Yes.
The optic nerve is responsible for getting information from your brain from your eye to your brain.
Excellent. Yeah.
The optic nerve.
Nice for part C.
Yes.
Right, so let me write that down. C, optic nerve carries nervous impulses to the brain to interpret. Very good. Thanks, Sorrenta. B, you all said sclera. Now we see what's B. So B will be the sclera. The center line will be the choroid layer, and the inner line will be the retina. All right. C, optic nerve transfer visual information from retina to the vision centers of the brain. Yes, that's correct. Good answer. So let me put an answer for B. Sclera. Somebody wants to say something? Sclera does provide, I would say it protects the eye and supports the shape of the eye. Instead of what you said, provides nourishment, it's more the choroids do that part. Right, next one. Shaker is concerned about glaucoma. Explain to Shaker what occurs in the eye to result in glaucoma. How is glaucoma caused? What you all have? Glaucoma is caused by increase in pressure in the aqueous humor due to its increased secretion from the lens. Correct. I'll write that down. So it's caused by an increase in the pressure due to, let me fix that, due to the aqueous humor that is built up in front of the lens. I'll say answer. The aqueous humor is not being drained properly, right? Now the idea is to make sure your past paper booklet is being completed with answers. So make sure you're writing the answers in your book as you go along, if you don't have it, or correct yourselves. And feel free to answer your questions in the chat, or you can unmute your mic. Right, so this is for glaucoma. Part B now represents Shaker's knee-jerk spinal reflex. So person tap the knee and the feet will automatically elevate. So this is a reflex action. Identify regions, label A, B, and C. So the pain is the stimulus, which will be detected by the receptor cell here, which will generate a nervous impulse, which will be sent to A, and A is the which neuron? Sensory, right? B would have been in the spinal cord, which is this structure here. So this is inside the spinal cord here. We would have had a relay neuron relaying the message to that point. And then lastly, C, that is going to deliver the response to the muscle of the feet to elevate. So this would have been a motor neuron. All right. 2. Shaker has been injured in a football game and the doctor does a knee-jerk test. Explain to Shaker the mechanism of a knee-jerk spinal reflex. So let's go back to that handout, nervous system handout. Coordination and control. So knee-jerk is a reflex action. Here it is. A reflex action is an automatic response to a stimulus. It provides a means of rapidly integrating and coordinating a stimulus with response to a muscle or gland without the need for thought or a decision. So basically, this is how the knee jerk is done. Let me go back to the question. Shaker has been injured in a football game and the doctor does a knee jerk test. Explain to Shaker the mechanism. So it does explain what the knee jerk spinal reflex is all about. So you're going to say it's an automatic response, those kind of things. So the knee-jerk spinal reflex is a reflex action that does not involve the brain or thought processes to come up with the response. Instead, the response is automatic and fast. In this case, the lower leg will raise when the hammer taps the nerves under the kneecap. So this is explaining to Shaker how the knee-jerk reflex action works. And you can even go on, this is fill on the lines. The stimulus is pain, which is detected by receptor cells in the knee, which sends an motor neuron, which is connected to the effector, which is the muscle, will contract. Causing the knee jerk spinal reflex. Full stop. See how long my answer is? The knee-jerk spinal reflex is a reflex action that does not involve the brain or thought processes to come up with the response. Instead, the response is automatic and fast. In this case, the lower leg will raise when the hammer taps the nerves under the kneecap. The stimulus is pain, which is detected by the receptor cells in the knee, which sends a message to the sensory, then relay inside the spinal cord, and motor neuron, which is connected to the effector, which is the muscle in the leg. So I could actually put a full stop somewhere. Motor neuron, full stop. Because you don't want to be rambling in the answers. This is connected to the effector. Right, so that's better. Okay, next question now. You all have this? Add it in. Because you all have to earn your marks in your paper too, as usual. Huh? You all don't have multiple choice alone to depend on. C. Sheena has been told that she must think before she acts. She picks up a hot teapot and drops it without thinking. Is Sheena actions voluntary or involuntary? Explain the difference between voluntary and involuntary. So first and foremost, did she think about this? No. So if you're not thinking about your action, it is involuntary. So you answer the first part. The difference between the two now, so if you look at your notes, there's a table that I inserted with voluntary and involuntary and the differences. So voluntary is without awareness, involuntary is automatic. So any two we could insert in the answer here. Involuntary actions are actions that you do without thinking about them and doing it automatically. Voluntary actions are actions that you think about and choose to do. Yeah, that's what I'm starting to write. And also voluntary tends to be slower. It's at your own pace. And involuntary is the opposite. Involuntary is when a stimulus occurs and is sent to the brain or spinal cord to determine the response. The response is faster and sometimes automatic. Right, so those are differences there. So far the answer I got from Regan is correct. Next one. Question 5. Drugs. We almost finished this paper. Drugs are chemicals which change the way the body functions. Some are used for medicinal purposes, while others are used as a means to escape from reality. Name 2 drugs that are used as medicines and one that is used to provide an escape from reality. We actually did this not too long ago. Medicine, paracetamol, aspirin. All right, so you could actually easily say over-the-counter drugs, OTCs, which are the prescription drugs. And you could even go on and say like cough syrup, inhalers. So I'll put cough syrup. Escape from reality now.
Is marijuana and alcohol?
Marijuana and alcohol. The list goes on for this one. Ecstasy, cocaine, all right. Those are also answers. Very good. Describe 3 social effects of continued abuse or misuse of drugs. So what are 3 things that could happen if you abuse drugs? There's a social answer here. Now the key thing is look at how much lines, and they said describe. So you can't just say loss of job, full stop. You have to kind of explain it more. So for example, if you are saying the person will lose their job, you have to say, firstly, so one social effect is unemployment, because person may not be able to cope in a working environment and would be unable to perform their duties. Right? That's 1. I'm seeing an answer. Let me see. 2. Behavioral change, because someone who is addicted, behavior may change from being a good person to a bad person with not knowing themselves anymore. So the point we're trying to say there is breakdown of relationships. So family relationship, so that is the point there. That's the main point, breakdown of relationship, and to describe how that is caused, that happens as a result of abuse of drugs, is behavior changes since person cannot control their mental thoughts. So I'm sharpening up that answer that they gave. One more. Loss of home, because the addict may sell his house for money to buy drugs and have money for anything. All right, yeah, that's 1 too. So how to sharpen up that answer? You can say financial problems. But however, they said social, so I'm not going to talk about financial problems. They actually specifically said social. So I could even say evicted. Evicted from apartment, or cannot, or homes becoming, let's stick to evicted from apartment, because rent money will be spent on drugs instead. Therefore, landlord might decide to kick them out. How to say decide to kick them out? Sorry? Type it, please. Type your answer. I would just reuse the word evict them. Yeah. Okay. So sticking the social reasons here. Although this could be a little economic one here, however, the point is evicted from the apartment. And the list goes on. You could say depression because they lose their friend, they lose their job, they might stop school. All of those are examples too. Next one. There are a number of cardiovascular diseases associated with smoking. Discuss how smoking most likely contributes to lung cancer and stroke. All right. So one paragraph should just be about smoking, how it contributes to lung cancer, and the other one, a next paragraph with stroke. Who wants to explain this? First to begin, cardiovascular disease. You have three types. You have arteriosclerosis, atherosclerosis, coronary thrombosis. All right, let's see. Smoking causes the lung to become weak, therefore the lung is more prone to diseases and infections. Okay, yeah. So smoking contains carcinogens such as tar, which can cause the cells of the lungs to become damaged or prone to infections. As a result, these damaged cells can form a tumor. Right, so that one is for smoking and lung cancer, and then the next one we will do is stroke. So smoke, nicotine in smoke causes the artery walls to become harder, as well as increases the heart rate. This causes blood to travel to the brain at a higher pressure, which can lead to a rupture of a blood vessel, which prevents the brain from receiving oxygen. So step by step, I gotta explain this one. So nicotine in the cigarette smoke, this causes the walls of the artery to get harder. And as I know, the artery walls need to be elastic because when blood flowing at a high pressure, it needs to stretch. If it cannot stretch now, pressure is going to build up on an artery wall could rupture. And if that rupture now, well then less oxygen will flow to the brain. Anything you want to add to this answer? All right, moving on. Suggest 3 reasons why cigarette smoking has become a very prevalent has become very prevalent among teenagers. Oh, I get answer one time. One, so curiosity. And I like how you're explaining it. However, for this, now this question different than the other one. Because this one says suggest. Suggesting means you just listing the reasons. You don't have to go and describe it in great detail. All right. So curiosity, stress, peer pressure, influence from adults. Okay, so following like celebrities or friends or family, somebody you look up to. Depression is one as well. All right, so we'll stop there. They only said 3. Yes. 6, last one in this year. Figure 5 is a diagram of a water cycle. You have A, B, C. Say the processes that occur at A, B, and C. So water is leaving the trees. Water vapor leaving the tree is transpiration, that's right. B is water leaving the oceans, going to the clouds, so that's evaporation. C, water is being absorbed into the mountain there. So it's passing through the soil. So you can have collection, but collection is more for groundwater. So I would actually put percolation there. And we will say collection as well. All right. Define the term pollutant and identify 2 ways in which humans pollute the water cycle. Very good. Pollutant refers to chemicals which can harm air, water, and land. So a pollutant is cause pollution. 2 ways in which humans pollute the environment. Sorry, the water cycle.
Yes, by throwing sewage waste into the river and ocean.
Yeah, 2 ways in which humans pollute the water cycle are 1, oil spills from boats and disposal of human waste from sewage treatment plants, right? I'll just put from sealing vessels. And 2, you can even talk about the air. Because they say water cycle, and when water is evaporated, sometimes some little contaminants and stuff in the water does evaporate with the rainwater, which is cause that's why there's always say don't drink rainwater. It's not the purest form of water. It contains a lot of pollutants in it. All right, so 2, disposal of sewage in water bodies. Right, so those are 2 answers there. B, over 71% of the Earth's surface is covered with water, but only 0.024 Percent is readily available to be used as fresh water in groundwater deposits, lakes, rivers, and streams. As our population size has increased, our demand for water and our contamination of it have reduced the amount of available useful water. Two effects of contaminated water on human health and the environment. And they say discuss. So yeah, can I explain it? Two effects of contaminated water. So you can say spread of pathogenic diseases. And the discussion here is in water that contains untreated sewage can cause viruses and bacteria to grow. Thus, if contaminated water is used for domestic purposes, person can get cholera or typhoid. So you cannot discussing it. Also, now they say on human health and the environment. So for the environment now, you could say eutrophication, which I was talking about. So basically water can, when farmers use fertilizers, it can leach through the soil and eventually reach water bodies, causing algal bloom. So farmers need fertilizers for their crop to grow, but when rainfall, the fertilizer is washed out and eventually it is reach water bodies. And since that has caused plants to grow, it will cause the algae in the water to grow abundantly. That's why some water is be green in color on top. It's have a lot of algae in it. And if it have too much algae, then that will prevent plants from below from making food or photosynthesizing. Trying to get this typing thing. I'll finish with this part. Why not get in that text box? Right, so as I was saying, when the algae start to grow on the water, this causes plants to not receive sunlight, therefore they cannot photosynthesize and oxygen levels in the water decreases. Because if the plant not photosynthesizing, oxygen is now a byproduct. no more. And that has caused less oxygen to be dissolved in water. Right, so this is a effect on the environment here, and this is an effect on human health above. Human activities are contaminating not only water resources but also the air. Suggest 3 ways in which humans could reduce air pollution. Tell me, how can you all reduce air pollution? Avoid burning of garbage. So instead of burning of garbage, you carry it to landfill sites. So 1, stop burning garbage. Use landfill sites or burn garbage inside of, actually no, I wouldn't say burn garbage, I just use landfill sites. And practice recycling and reusing of products. Use a bicycle or walk instead of driving, right? So you could carpool or use a bike or walk instead of driving vehicles, right? Avoid excessive idling of your vehicle. Some people just park their vehicle and have it idling, and that causing a lot of emissions to be released. So if you park the car, just turn it, better to switch it off. Third way, avoid excessive idling of your vehicles when not in use. Right, so that's good. You could also have a lot of reforestation projects. So implement like replanting of trees, or so implement reforestation, because the more trees, remember, trees and plants just filter the air, purify the air. And replanting projects. You can even plant some little crops at home. Right, so that's good. That's enough answers there. So that brings us to the end of this paper here. Amen. So take 2016 out of your list. Right, so the next one, let's go on a little break. Switch from combustion engine cars to electric engine cars. Yes, that's also an answer. Let's go on our next break. And when we come back, I'm going to teach over respiration. So we'll stop for 15 minutes again. Start back, 2:30. Let's just continue with respiration now. I will also send this to you all. Notice these are concise versions of the notes. All right. Now the term respiration, you have 2 other words two other definitions you all have to learn. That's gaseous exchange as well as breathing. Respiration is the breakdown of glucose to produce energy. And this occurs in the mitochondria of all body cells. Your body cells require energy for metabolic reactions and for bodily functions. So the muscle cells, however, tend to have numerous mitochondria because they are constantly working. Gaseous exchange is when oxygen is diffused into the blood and carbon dioxide diffuses out of the blood. So it's the exchange of gases, and this occurs in the alveoli or the alveolus. Breathing involves inhalation, which means to breathe in, and exhalation, which means to breathe out. Sometimes they refer to inhalation as inspiration, and exhalation they refer to it as expiration. Just in case they bring those words. Now, ATP is the energy storing molecule. So when energy is made, it forms into ATP. Now, when energy is being used, ATP is broken down into ADP plus phosphate. So when you're using up the energy, ADP is formed. When you're storing energy, ATP is formed. You have two types of respiration. You have aerobic respiration. Air comes from the word oxygen. It involves the use of oxygen. Glucose reacts with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide plus water plus ATP. And the amount of ATP being produced is 2880 kilojoules. This is an approximate value. Again, joules is used for energy. Anaerobic respiration does occur when there's no oxygen available. However, it's occurring in muscle cells when undergoing strenuous activities, exercises, and so forth. So glucose is halfway broken down into lactic acid plus ATP. And you have to know the chemical equations as well. So it's C6H12O6 will form, you all remember the formula for lactic acid? Tell me, what's the formula for lactic acid? You all should remember. This could come in a multiple choice. Lactic acid is C3H6O3, half of glucose. And because it's halfway broken down, you have less energy forming as a result. So it's actually about 240 kilojoules. The last equation you have to know. Now, know that there's a term called oxygen debt. Basically, this is when the muscle cells you're owing oxygen to the muscle cells. So after exercise, you just be out of breath, you just be gasping, you just basically be breathing faster. The breathing rate is increased because you need to replace or repay the debt, which is you're owing the muscle cells oxygen. So when you breathe faster, more oxygen will enter and then go into your muscle cell and break down the lactic acid that was in the muscle cells. And muscles, the lactic acid in the muscle cell does cause that cramping pain. Next equation is in plants and yeast cells. So basically, hold on, something missing. Muscle cells too, right. For plants and yeast, they also respire anaerobically, where glucose is now broken down into ethanol instead, carbon dioxide and ATP. So glucose again is 6. I'll just copy and paste this one. Remember both formulas, chemical and word. So for ethanol, who can remember the chemical formula for ethanol? I want all they wake up. Everybody getting quiet. Respiration was a topic we did in term 1. Ethanol is C2H5OH. Somebody here must be doing chemistry, man. Plus CO2 plus ATP. And you always write the numbers as a superscript below. That's the chemical equation. And for this, it's only about 120 kilojoules of energy is formed. Now, with the anaerobic respiration in yeast cells, it is used for baking bread. When you use flour, yeast, and sugar, the yeast cells respire and break down the glucose, and the carbon dioxide that is formed causes the bread to rise, the dough to rise. However, ethanol is not formed because of the baking of the bread, the high temperature does evaporate the ethanol. Okay, now in the respiratory system, you have your specialized cells, which is found in the trachea, the bronchioles, the bronchi. You have ciliated cells, which line the trach, and this forms cilia, which is a hair-like structure which sweeps dust and pathogens upwards, preventing it from entering the lung. So this is what kind of prevents you from getting respiratory illnesses, because it acts as a broom and sweep up any kind of dust or pathogens that is present in the air. Goblet cells act like the mop, which traps the dust and pathogens, because goblet cells secrete mucus, which is a thick fluid. And mind you, what's happening with this coronavirus is these two cells are being damaged by the virus. That is why the lung itself is trying to fight off the virus, because a lot of mucus is building up and preventing the lung from getting oxygen. So that is why these coronavirus patients require the a ventilator, a respiratory mask to acquire oxygen, because there's a lot of fluid and mucus building up in the lungs trying to get rid of the actual virus. So adaptations or features of the gaseous exchange surface are, it has to be thin. The lining of the alveolus is very thin. It has a moist layer, mucus as well surrounds it. That is allow gases to dissolve and pass through the walls easily. Also, the surface area of the alveoli is large because you have millions of alveoli in the lungs. And there's a concentration gradient across the surface being maintained by the movement of air and transport or use of gas. I'm going to take out this one. All right, inhalation and exhalation involved these changes which took place in the lung. Now, mind you, you have the muscles. Let me take out this. You have the intercostal muscle. When you inspire, the external muscles is contract, whereas the internal muscles in expiration contracts. So it's opposite here. External contracts, whereas internal relax. For expiration, internal contract, whereas external will relax. Rib cage just move up and out when you inhale, because you're trying to make the chest larger so more air can fill the lung. The diaphragm is flatten or move downwards, so it contracts. And anytime volume increase, pressure does decrease. The arrow that points upward means increase, downward means decrease. Now this table is important because it can come from multiple choice. Basically what this table shows is the percentage of gases inside and outside the lungs. So oxygen, when you're inhaling that, you're inhaling approximately 21% of gas, whereas for exhale less, because remember oxygen, some of the oxygen, 4%, is being absorbed into your red blood cells, or diffused, I should say, diffused into your red blood cells. Notice for carbon dioxide, the value increase. You inhale 0.03%, however, you release 4% because since the body produces carbon dioxide, as you can see, in aerobic respiration, your body cells producing this gas, so more carbon dioxide is being released. Water vapor will be variable because it depends on how the atmosphere is. Sometimes there's a lot of water vapor in the air, sometimes there's little. Nitrogen, we don't use this gas, so it will be the same. Same thing for noble gases. Effects of cigarette smoke in the respiratory system now. Well, you have to know what the cigarette smoke contain. 1, carbon monoxide. 2, nicotine. 3, you have smoke particles itself. And then 4, you have tar. So carbon monoxide is block oxygen from binding with your hemoglobin. RBC stands for red blood cells, by the way. So less oxygen is being transported. Nicotine, well, that's the addictive drug in the cigarette. Now what nicotine does is it hardens the artery wall and increases the heart rate, which could lead to heart attack. Small particles irritate the air passage, causing it to swell, causing more mucus to build up, and that does lead to bronchitis. Sometimes these small particles even end up in the alveoli, and it does cause the wall to get larger, and in that way less oxygen is diffusing into your red blood cells, which is something called emphysema. So now, this is the cancer causing component in the cigarette. So it increases the risk of lung cancer, which is basically cell division out of control. When you have damaged cells continuously multiply and form into a tumor. So these are just like the effects of cigarette smoke on the respiratory system itself. You have to know what each of them does do. And then there was the steps that you have to learn for, you have to know what factors that affect the breathing rate. So what are some things that is causing breathing rate to increase or decrease? You had stress, anxiety, obesity, exercise. What else? Altitude, yeah. The higher you go, the thinner the air, so the breathing rate is increased. Drugs. So these are some factors. Then we looked at some terms: vital capacity. Basically what this means: largest breadth one can achieve, and the instrument used to measure breathing rate is called a spirometer. These are things that could, likely to come in multiple choice. And you have to know your steps for resuscitation or CPR, mouth to mouth, in case you have to save somebody. So what is it? What's the first step if you see somebody unconscious and not breathing? First, you have to put them on their back. Right? First thing, you have to make sure lay the person down flat on their back. They can't be in a fetal position. They can't be lying down on their stomach, obviously. Then you open the mouth and ensure tongue is not blocking airway, nor is there any objects in the throat. So you have to make sure the airway is clear, because it don't make sense if you're blowing air in the person's mouth and it blocked. 3. What are you doing next? So nobody here can save somebody in case. Well, before you start to do mouth to mouth, close the person's nostril. Gently. You're not going to wring out your nose. You just simply take your finger and just squeeze it together. Because when you're blowing air in, you don't want the air to just escape through the nose. And take a deep breath and blow into the person's mouth. You will start to see the chest will start to rise. When you blow into the person's mouth, the chest will rise. When you see the chest rise now, you then start to press on the chest. So you take your hand, put it into a little clasp, and then you pump on the chest. It's approximately 30 times. Somebody want to say something? So that is how you do the mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Let me show a video. Right, so here's a short video showing the CPR.
Chapter 7, Airway discuss mouth-to-mouth rescue breathing for adults and children and mouth-to-mouth nose rescue breathing for infants. Until an advanced airway is available, you should use mouth-to-mouth, mouth-to-mask, or bag mask ventilation. Oftentimes, a pocket mask or bag mask is not available at the scene of an accident. Mouth-to-mouth rescue breathing is effective in delivering oxygen into the individual's lungs. Now let's review mouth-to-mouth rescue breathing for adults and children. First, open the airway using the head lift chin lift maneuver. Pinch the nose shut to prevent air from escaping when delivering breaths. Create a seal with your lips around the individual's mouth. Blow into the individual's mouth and watch the chest. If the chest doesn't rise, you may need to retilt the head or unblock the airway. Give an additional breath. Make sure the breaths are duration of a full second. If the chest doesn't rise in 2 breaths, continue giving chest compressions. Now let's review mouth-to-mouth nose ventilation for infants. First, open the infant's airways using the head tilt chin lift maneuver. Be sure not to hyperextend the neck. Then create a seal with your lips around the infant's mouth and nose. Deliver the breath and watch the chest rise. Keep in mind that an infant's lungs are smaller than an adult and need a smaller volume of air. If the chest does not rise, readjust the tilt of the head. Then deliver the second breath and watch the chest to rise. If you are unable to cover both the infant's mouth and the nose entirely with your mouth, then pinch the nose closed and then deliver the breaths into the infant's mouth. If the chest does not rise, readjust the tilt of the head. Give an additional breath and watch for the chest to rise. This concludes our lesson on mouth-to-mouth rescue breathing. Next, we will review rescue breathing.
All right, so that's a nice video showing, and notice that they showed you for adult as well as an infant. So for the infant, you have to be very careful when you pump in the chest because you could actually break their chest bone. So you have to use your thumb of your finger. You're not using a clasp of the hands to do that. And also the amount of air you're blowing in for the infant will be less than the adult. All right, so this is the steps. So this covers respiration. I will also send this concise version of the notes together with the food chain and food web. For homework, you could do our next. Let's try to do the current papers, the most recent ones. So let's see what other recent ones we have. We can do the 2019 one. So I will send you all the homework on the group chat, but just to say it out loud, what we will do is June 2019, paper 2. Do you all have that paper? In your booklet, please let me know if you have this book past paper in your book. I will still send it in case. And I'm going to send another multiple choice. I'm sending 2 multiple choice, a paper 2, and that is what we are going to work on next week together with some topics, because we have 2 more classes for this month. And please stay tuned and sign up for the additional classes because it will come in handy. You all have approximately 2 months before your exam, so you have no excuses. Everyone should get a 1. If you don't get a 1 or 2, I don't know what to even say because time is not even the issue. The issue is continuously revising and doing the work. I will send this paper if you don't have it. Actually, it's Jan, it's not June. It's January that I have. So it's actually, I have January, sorry. Right, so the idea is you want your past paper booklet to have answers. You want to have answers to all your multiple choice past paper questions too. All right. Any questions before I sign off? All right, so everybody understand, right? Okay, great. Have a good afternoon.